In this video, we're going over how to divide expressions involving exponents. So just like we've been doing with the other exponent stuff, when I have a problem like this, I just want to expand it and then simplify what I have. So to start, I have 7 to the 5th, and reminder that the number on the bottom, so the 7 here is the base, and the 5 here is the exponent. So when I have 7 to the 5th, that means 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. So I'm doing it 5 times because of the exponent right here. And then on the bottom of the fraction, I have 7 squared. So I'm just doing 7 times 7 because there's 2 of them. And then we know that in our giant 1, if I have 7 divided by 7, that equals 1. So what I can do here is anytime I have a 7 on top and bottom, I can do 7 divided by 7, that equals 1. And then 7 divided by 7 is 1. And so what I have left on top is just 1 times 1 and then times the other 7s. So those 1s I can kind of just ignore. So basically, once I cancel out my giant 1s, I just count what I have left over. So if I have 3 7s, my answer is just 7 to the 3rd. So same thing for B. So I have x to the 6th, so that's 6 of them. And then y to the 3rd, that's 3 of them. And then I go to the bottom of my fraction. X squared is x times x, and y squared is y times y. So same thing as number 1, I have x divided by x divided by x. I cannot cross out an x and a y because they're not the same. X divided by y is not 1. But I can cancel out a y and a y, and then a y and a y over here. So now I'm just going to count what I have left over. So on top I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 x's, so that's x to the 4th. And then I have 1 y left over, so I have x to the 4th times y. So again, we're just expanding, canceling out our giant 1s, and then writing what we have left over. All right, for C, x to the 5th, I have 5 of them. And then y squared is times y times y. On the bottom, I have 6 x's. 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, x. And then 4 y's. Oops. Okay, so again, let me cancel out my giant 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I can cancel out 5 x's and 2 y's. So notice how there's nothing left on top. Remember how before I said every time you're doing a giant 1, it's like you have a 1 left over. So on top, 1 times 1 over and over again would just be 1. So if you have nothing left over, you put a 1 there. And then on the bottom, I have an x and then 2y. So that's y squared. So remember, if you have stuff left on the bottom, keep them on the bottom, because a lot of times what students want to do is they'll write their answer like this. But these are on the bottom of the fraction, so you have to make sure that you're doing 1 over and then whatever's left on the bottom. So if stuff lives on top, keep on the top. If stuff lives on the bottom, leave it on the bottom. The only time stuff switches is if there's a negative exponent. Okay, so let's talk about shortcuts on this one. If we didn't want to expand it, what's the shortcut? So I can see here that if I had done 5 minus 2, that would have given me 3. And that makes sense because we're just canceling out, we're basically subtracting 2 from the top and bottom. So we're just subtracting the number on the bottom. Okay, so again, our shortcut is that we would just subtract the exponents. And we would get 7 to the 3rd. And let's see if that checks out for B. So here I have 6 minus 2 is 4. That checks out. And then I have 3 minus 2 is 1. And I know there's no number here, but there's always an invisible 1 on exponents if they don't give you 1. So that works out. And then for C, this one's a little trickier because if you do 5 minus 6, you're going to get x to the negative 1. And then if you do 2 minus 4, that would give you y to the negative 2. But if you think back to our work on negative exponents, remember if it's a negative exponent, you're going to send it to the bottom of the fraction. So because these are both negative, they're both going to get sent to the bottom, and we throw away the negative exponents, and that would be our answer, and that's the same thing I got down here. So if you are confused about subtracting when you get the negative exponents, feel free to just do it the longer way here. But yeah, if you want to use a shortcut on these, you are just subtracting the exponents.